Well, God, this is an amazing collection. I saw him many times.
Billy Soose?
Billy Soose I knew very, very well.
He was pretty good?
He was an awfully clever boxer. He could really defuse you. He couldn't punch.
You saw him in that Garcia fight, right?
Yes, I did. Oh, yes. Yeah, what a night. What a night there was. He was very good. Very, very good. He split Billy's eye, bad, terrible cut in the lid. Awful cut. Billy in the corner, Paul was asking him how he felt, and he said, "How's my eye looking?" He said, "Well, not very good." And they said, Billy said, "The hell with it." So they stopped the fight, but all the Mexicans were cheering, thinking that Ceferino had won. But then he declared that it had been a foul on Budd. And since Billy was head on point after, and he raised Billy's hand,
yeah, but
as winning on a foul, and the Mexicans erupted. They just absolutely
deserved to be.
Boy, Zale could punch. Billy Soose told me that after he fought Zale, and I think Billy won a decision. He literally couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. The body, he could not get out of bed. It hurt so much. He was a tremendous body puncher, punishing.
Was it?
I went to a wedding.
Oh no, I didn't.
It was like his fifth wife. He's a character. Boy, he would have been one of the great.
Yeah, not for Robinson.
All-time middleweights if it hadn't been for Robinson. Basilio. Oh,
this is fun.
That fight.
Look at that face.
I saw both fights with Tony DeMarco. Oh God, what? I was covering for Sports Illustrated in the Boston fight. In those days, the writers went right in the dressing room. It was a very different room.
Bless you.
And I went in the dressing room, and I tell you, it could almost turn you against boxing. DeMarco was so banged up that he didn't look it looked as if he had been hit by a Mack truck or something. Second fight, I think he stopped him in a late round, yeah. Well, but there were wars.
He beat Robinson once.
He almost knocked, I thought he had knocked out Basilio. He hit Basilio in one corner, and Basilio, I'll never forget that. He went down, lower and lower and lower, and right down to almost in a squat, but his butt didn't actually hit the floor. And DeMarco thought everybody thought it was over. And it was almost like scary, bit by bit. He got back up again.
He was scary.
God, oh. And then after about a round, he started to come on and beat the hell out of DeMarco. In Syracuse, that was.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic boy.
Who's that? Paul.
My father knew him, Paul Berlenbach. He used to talk about Berlenbach, Delaney, and Slattery all about the same time.
Right. Who was your dad's favorite fighter?
I guess first was Benny Leonard. Benny Leonard was his favorite. We, out there, as a local boy, we liked Mushy Callahan a lot. And
you never saw Benny. Oh, you did see him later.
Yeah, we followed Mushy in all of his fights.
Remember when you couldn't go to the Benny Leonard fight and they sent you home?
Yeah, yeah.
And you were crying?
Oh, yes, I certainly do.
Yeah. The kid?
I mean...
I can relate to that
I still remember that week. I was about 6.
Oh, you crushed.
I was so excited. And he kept a scrapbook, a whole book of Benny Leonard, with his picture on the cover, and the whole book on Benny Leonard. And that day I was so excited about going to the fight that I actually didn't go to school.
That's not like you.
I was so excited. And then we get down there at the old garden, the old garden.
Right.
And this security guy, huge guy in a uniform, he looked 8 feet tall because so little. He looked down and said to my father, "What the hell's wrong with you? You can't take that little kid in here." And
it was really your father's fault should have known.
I guess he should have known.
Yeah,
and he had told me all about it. And he knew Benny all the way up. And he'd been a friend of his. He always bet $500, which was a fortune, on Benny Leonard. And I started crying.
He should have brought you in through the back or something.
Jesus. My father, we lived way up on Riverside Drive. My father had to take me all the way home in a cab with me bawling all the way.
And it was over when he came back.
No, not quite. He rushed back. He rushed back. He told the cab to wait and he raced back. That night later, he sat on the edge of my bed and told me the story. It's so vivid to me yet. He said, man, it was just amazing. As I got into the outside, I could hear the screaming inside, the cheering was so loud. As I came to the top of the aisle, they were counting on Benny. He was down. Richie Mitchell, very big puncher. Richie Mitchell knocked him down, and they were counting like 6, 7, 8, like that. And like almost looking at me, Leonard. All the Jewish brothers were dying, and he made it before the bell of that round. And then the next round, he just sort of walked through it, holding in. Then he came back, and then he gave Richie Mitchell a terrible beating, and my father said, and Buddy, I was sitting near to. Old man Mitchell was his father was his manager, and he said, and he was an old ex-fighter father, and he took this bloody towel and he threw it in the ring, giving up. He said, and then he put his elbows on the apron and started to cry like a baby. Exactly what he said. He was crying like a baby. It was so vivid. It was like I was there.
More lives up there.
1924. Yeah, and my father was such a big shot out there. We sat really in the first row, at the first row. He had the same 2 seats every week.
Well, who was your first hero on LA?
Fidel LaMotta before Mushy. Because, Fidel was really very early, 1924, 5, 6, in there. So someone asked me at a fight recently, what was the first title fight you ever saw? And I said, Jesus, I think it was 11, and it was Fidel Barber and Frankie Gennaro, flyweight championship, and Fidel won the.
He was a pretty good fighter. Barber was a pretty good fighter.
Oh, he's a very good fighter, great fighter.
Tell me about Maxie Rosenbloom.
Oh, Dad, you have a lot of.
I saw him fight. I saw him fight Bob Pastors. He's a pretty good heavyweight. And actually, every once in a while, Past would look, and Rosenbloom would be gone. He'd look this way, that way. It was like he'd left the ring, and Rosenbloom would be right behind him.
Really?
Yeah, he'd slip and then be behind him. God, he was amazing. He was amazing.
Didn't Rosenbloom like con money from your father?
Yes. Always conning him.
Right.
Conning him and taking advantage of him. He was.
And he slapped you, didn't he? Rosenbloom, when he punched?
Yeah.
How they call him?
You know, he did. He never punched. But God, he was almost impossible to hit. Archie Moore.
Wow. That's great.
He was amazing, Archie Moore. So when you look at that record of his.
At his age. Page was Willie Pastrano. I'll tell you the story. When I tracked down Willie Pastrano, I said, how you doing, Willie? He goes, I'm kind of down on my luck. No, that's too bad. And he goes, well, it's better to be a has-been than a never was.
That's a great
quote.
That's a great line. That really is a great line.
Look at Jose.
That is a great book, Ray.
Oh, it's fun.
That is a fascinating book.
I love to collect autographs.
Yeah,
thanks.
that's worth a lot to it, really is. That's amazing.